Good evening and welcome to the June 8th, 2023 Select Boards meeting. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so first on the agenda is an appointment that we have to discuss. Appointment for Karen Levy as associate to the Conservation Commission. First of all, I did not know there was an opening on the Conservation Commission. And usually what we do is we announce it and give people 2 or 3 weeks to apply, whoever's interested.
Chuck has been on the website for like a month.
I haven't been on the website, but this is something we're supposed to discuss, that we're supposed to talk about. So I think I'd like to, I'm not saying she's not bad, but I think I would like to put this on hold, put it out there for a couple of weeks. I know some people on the conservation that wants to look into this deeper. They were surprised this was on there too. So I'll make a motion that we table this.
Can I talk for a second?
Yep.
I don't know Karen. I reached out to her and suggested Sally's recommendation that she attend a meeting to make sure, because conservation has a lot of wetlands enforcement. It's like actually, you got another law. So there's a lot to learn. And she agreed to go to Tuesday's meeting. And I've actually never met her in person. I just talked to her via email when she put this in. So I would encourage everyone to keep visiting the website and look for these openings. And if you want to announce it tonight, that's fine, because the next meeting is not till Tuesday. So I already suggested to her that we hold off on the appointment until after she goes to make sure she's interested.
Yes, we also need input from the Conservation Commission people.
I forwarded everyone who, when she applied on the Conservation Commission, her request. And I forwarded to the two of you as well.
I did not see that. I'll make a motion.
Wait, Ron wants to speak.
Ron?
It's a little bit late here, but I assume this is about
Yes,
the alternates.
Yeah.
We have openings for 2 alternates. I have the name of one person, and this other person, it's on my paper. Exactly what Patrick was saying. We encourage people to come to at least one meeting and see what we do. Meet them, talk to them about how we function, and then we haven't actually turned anybody down. It's hard enough to get somebody to join one of these committees. But Patrick, if you sent out an email, I did not get it.
I didn't receive
I
it.
checked with a couple other Concom people and they did not get it. I talked to one that did.
I just sent it to the Conservation Commission remailer. You have to check your town email address, because that's where I think it goes to. Can we forward people's to their personal addresses? Yeah, why don't we just make that a standard thing maybe, because a lot of people don't check their town ones.
but I feel that in fairness that it doesn't hurt anything to give a little more time and a little more, so everyone can get up to speed. And if anyone else wants to apply.
Yeah, no, I have no problem. I don't
think we have to
advocating.
rush.
She reached out to the, I think. to
No,
the
I think it's
selectmen
great
account.
that she did. But
We have,
it's the first
I
I heard
have
of it.
2 names now. Hopefully both these people work out. They may be at the next meeting or the meeting after. I'm not sure. We'll talk to them again.
So you want to let us
I
know?
have lives in town on Main Street, so whatever information I can glean, that's fine.
Do you want to let us know when they do come, and then we can set a meeting after that?
Sure, yes.
What your recommendations
We'll
and
definitely do that.
vote them in? Okay. Did I make a motion, we hold off on this until the,
We don't need a
Conservation Commission.
vote. I don't think, do we?
It's up to you guys. I mean,
Yeah, we'll just pick it up next time.
take no action on that
we'll
one.
take no action on that for now. Take action on 1-day alcohol licenses for Chesterwood July 6th for a reception from 5 PM to 6 PM. July 13th for a wine tasting from 5 PM to 8 PM. July 22nd for art reception from 6 PM to 7 PM. July 27th, rate date, July 28th for reception from 6 PM to 7 PM. July 29th for an exhibit opening from 5:30 PM to 7:30 PM.
I'll second it. Don't we have
All
to
those-
second it?
Yeah,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Take action on a one-day alcohol license for Berkshire Botanical Garden for an art opening on July 1st from 6 PM to 9 PM.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in
Well,
favor?
actually, no, that's okay. Aye.
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 Okay. ARPA to fund planters at Eaton Court, $4,000 of the $5,000 request with a $1,000 donation by the Hammonds.
Alan and Dickey.
So,
This came in before the last election, and I didn't put it on the agenda because I didn't want to have us voting on it in the last meeting, which we're canceling anyway. So
so the question I have, is this $5,000 just for the planters? Is this $5,000 goes to everything else?
it's just for the planters. They bought the TV with the money that Alan Hyman gave them.
Okay, so TV and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So what I did prepare for you guys, in front of you is exactly where the ARPA money stands. So I will share the screen right now to show what's available.
That's not it.
It's that large one. I don't know why I printed on that large paper,
Okay.
but it makes it very easy for you guys to read. So what you can see are the committed line is all the money that's been committed to date. We started with 564,934. We've committed to the following projects. And then for a total of $300,723.14.
Is that just the yellow part?
Yeah, the yellow one, ignore the yellow part, that was just me when I was marking which.
That's all of them.
Paid, right, all the committed ones are 300,723.14. You guys have a balance still to appropriate, which we have to commit by December 31st, 2023. So you just have to commit the money by then and spend it by
Right.
December 31st, 2024. That leaves us $264,210.86 that can be appropriated. Right now I have a column there proposed, and then you can see the ones that have already been paid to date. Those have already been paid and issued grant agreements if they were other non-government entities and the rest. And then we still have the second year of the co-responder program with Tri-Town Health and the police. The charging stations, just to let you know, are going to be installed over the next 3 weeks here at Town Hall and should be up and running by July 1st.
That's great.
And then you guys had approved at a previous meeting, an essential work pay of $1,000 for full-time, $500 for part-time, which is a total of $37,000. So right now, the only one in front of you is a proposed of $4,000, which if you were to approve would have us with a remaining balance of $260,210.86.
So
Okay.
just to go over this co-responder program for Tri-Town Health Police, we got to pay that again next year?
Yeah, so the first 2 years was funded, and then part of it is the hope that as we got somebody in and got it, that we'd be able to go after Department of Justice money in order to fund the position, or it could go into the police department program. But it was something with the Police Reform Act that was really recommended and something that we went in. It's in with Lennox, Lee, and
So we're going to need
Stockbridge.
that 42,831 of the ARPA for next year.
Well, here, didn't you?
No,
put
it's-
this
We got a grant.
on?
That's what the whole idea was.
So right now, we have this year funded, and then
Yeah.
we have 2024 funded.
Okay, so that's funded
So
out of
three-
here.
Yeah, it's the line
Right here.
12, yeah.
Chuck, right there. It's right there.
Yeah, it hasn't been
Okay.
paid yet because it's
Because
next
it's in
year's.
this column.
Yeah, and then we The charging stations hasn't been paid because we haven't
But it's
done the
coming.
project. That'll be paid out shortly.
And
And
this is
then
the
the week
raise
of
of
June
the-
23rd, we'll be doing the essential worker pay not pay out.
This is,
So,
This 264 includes that 42,831?
yep,
yes.
yeah. So you have a balance of $264,000 that you
afford
I
guys.
got a big proposal from the library at the next meeting. There's some
We're
stuff
not
I want
talking
to do.
about that right now.
You guys should actually stop by and talk to Wendy when you get a second.
Okay, we're talking about the planters right now.
Yeah.
Indeed. we
Let's
are.
stay with one step.
The only concern I have is, like we decided, like every one of these programs are programs that taxpayers would pay one way or another. And that's what we kind of agreed to use the ARPA money for. And this really doesn't fall into that category. We discussed this quite a few meetings ago, didn't we?
I thought, yeah,
You know, to get grants that we can match and anything we do to save, you know, I'm not saying it's a bad project. I'm just don't want to open up a can of worms, everybody coming in and saying they want money out of here to do special projects that doesn't help the tax rate, or to help the taxpayers.
You know, there's, oh. Can I?
Yes, of course you can.
I think 2 points. I think initially the sort of leverage the funding opportunities elsewhere was a good strategy, but we've now got less than 6 months left where we have to designate it. And I think we should transition into things that have kind of, they're off the beaten path a little bit, but you know, that have a long-term impact on the town. There's 53 units at Heaton Court and 52 of them are singles. And I think that one of the things we should be trying to do as a town is to ensure that we're building community as people get older. And being out on the balcony or in the TV room, people are watching TV together rather than all alone in their room. And out on the balcony, they can all see each other gardening rather than, you know, kind of having house plant. So I just think it's a nice way to encourage people to have human interaction personally. But, you know, I did call Alan and Vicky and got a donation. I haven't had a lot of time to do more of that, but if you want, I probably could get one or two more, maybe you split it, but I'd rather just do 4,000.
and once we give them the $4,000, will they need maintenance money or is this, I
No.
don't really know.
What I'd do is we'd have to issue a grant assurance letter, it'd be 4,000 for particular, we detail out what it would be used for.
Okay.
It'd be a very simple one.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, we have the money and they are part of our community. And it doesn't fall in the original category, but it's not a huge ask.
No, it's not a huge ask, and I think it's a very, very big thing for them up there.
Yeah.
I really do. So I have no issue with it.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you. Motion approved.
I'll make a motion. We spend $4,000 out of the ARPA money to do the plantings beds at Heaton.
And that's not beds, it's like little planters
Yeah.
on their balconies, like, so because some of them can't bend over.
Yeah.
So they wanted to be able to stand up and garden. Yeah. All right.
I second.
Second. Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Train Hill Road, speed bumps and T intersection discussion and determination. Mike?
Yeah, so one of the fun things that you guys perform is the fact that you are the road commissioners, unless the town otherwise has a road commission. So, so one of the things that we've had some issues raised with Train Hill Road, and I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention for final consideration. So we had some concerns about the speed bumps that are located on Train Hill Road at the bottom. And then there was one further up. So under Massachusetts highway regulations, we are not supposed to install speed bumps on any roads with 30 miles an hour or greater. What happens is speed bumps can become dangerous at 30 miles and greater, they can cause damage to cars, they can cause motorcycles to crash, they can other things, because at speeds above 30 miles an hour, it becomes an obstacle, not just a speed bump. They're supposed to be used on roads under 30 miles an hour. Now, this is gonna get very interesting when you picture the two roads. So Route 183 in front of Train Hill Road, that section is windy and the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. So Route 183, the speed limit through that area is 30 miles an hour. Train Hill Road, as soon as you come off Train Hill Road does not have, it never had a speed study, is an unmarked road.
Okay.
Therefore, the speed limit on a undivided highway outside of a thickly settled or business district is 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
So technically, you can go 10 miles an hour faster on Train Hill Road than you can on Route 183 in front of Train Hill Road.
Yeah.
So this brings in the whole issue of how speeds are determined by the state, but it's how we have to do it. If we were to do a speed study, it becomes this 85th percentile and this whole other thing. So we have two things that are happening. We have a Y intersection. So the way the
Before we
road,
get to that,
go ahead.
okay.
The question,
I was driving from Lee through Lennoxdale to Stockbridge last night, and that whole road is 20 or 25 miles an hour and is way less thickly settled or way more, I don't know, whatever. It is no way that it, based on what you just said, that it should be 20 or 25, it should be 40. I think the town knows the streets, and in this case, it's a windy road both at the bottom and at the top where it kind of goes into Averick. And I mean, the other option is you just put up the sign, or you just, it strikes me as like maybe a little bit letter of the law, not the spirit of what we're trying to do, but I understand,
so if you put up speed limits that are not enforceable, the police will not enforce them. You also end up with them trying to explain to somebody why somebody doing 40 to 45 miles an hour on a road that's posted 20 or 25 cannot be stopped. It is not reasonable to think that the answer is to post incorrect, illegal markings of a road.
Yeah.
Based on that. Now, there are some options, which I was going to get to, what cures we have. One is those roads that you're referring to in other towns that have posted speed limits may have had speed studies done. Where you bring in engineering, you look at it, you look at the traffic, they look at the road conditions and everything else, and then make a determination on the road.
Right.
So that is, but there's a number of factors in there, and sometimes speed tests don't result in the result you're looking for. It depends on determinations that are made. So I'm just telling you what it is, because if you don't have posted established speed limits, and I checked this with the police department and the rest, then you go by, it's in your driver's manual, and right away the police department went to their requirements and said, no, that road is treated as a 40 miles an hour because that's the criteria it falls under. That's just the blanket thing. It's 50 miles an hour on a divided road. It's 40 miles an hour on an undivided road. And it's 30 miles an hour in a thickly settled or business district by default. Those are just default speeds if the town has never made any determinations on the roads. So, and 20 miles an hour in established school zones. So if you have a school zone, it's 20. So there are ways of posting speeds and how you go about them. One of the things that you should be aware of are what are called advisory speed limits. So advisory speed limits are anytime you have a winding road or something else and you haven't made a study or established the speed zone. People would notice these as the yellow speed limits with a black lettering. Those are advisory speeds. They're not enforceable. They're not a speed limit. The police can't pull you over for them. What it is a warning that the road is windy, otherwise, for whatever reason, steep slopes for trucks, things like that identify a safety concern. Therefore, we're advising a slower speed. So those are something you can put up, but once again, not enforceable, but they are things that you could consider for it. Now, what's up there is they have some slow signs up but they don't have posted speed, but they have the yellow and black. It says slow, speed bump, other things like that. Once again, though, the speed limit is above 30, so therefore we can't continue to have speed bumps on a road.
Did we
need to
remove them
remove
yet?
them.
We haven't-
Right.
Have they been removed?
They haven't been removed yet. I'm bringing it to you guys as the road
Should be
commissioners.
removed.
So me and Hugh went up there. So when you're looking at roads, Massachusetts has road standards that roads can be pre-designed to. It's under the Uniform Traffic Code. If you want to put in a crosswalk, you want to do this or that. It tells you this are the minimum requirements. These are the sight lines. These are the rests that you have. And if you can meet those requirements, you can put it in that way. If you can't, then you got to bring on an engineer who then does the assessment of the road. So for example, if you come out and you got 1,000 feet in both direction, you can have, and this is not only for roads, but for driveways, for everything, you always have to have what are called sight lines. And they say these are the sight lines. So knowing that the speed limit up there is 30 miles an hour, at 35 miles an hour, which if the posted speed's 30, you tend to not be exceeding the speed until you're 5 miles greater. So therefore at 35 miles an hour, you need 390 feet in both directions of visible sight lines to ensure what intersection you want. We have that up there. So that was measured out. We have more than that. So therefore, one of the things that can be considered at this intersection and meeting with Hugh was that we could do what's called T the intersection, which is instead of having the Y at the end, which allows traffic to shoot off of 183 right up Train Hill Road. And my understanding that is the main issue, is that people coming off 183 don't slow down. They just shoot Train Hill. Well, that's because it's got the Y at the end, which has two branches with the island in the middle. Allows
Yes.
people to come off and people to come on Train Hill Road to not have to come the full, obviously
Right.
coming onto Train Hill, you don't even have to slow.
No, you
Actually,
can-
technically,
You can go
you
faster.
can accelerate
You can go-
as
yeah,
you
you
go
go
on the
fast.
Train Hill Road. So one of the things would be the fact that if you were to T the road there, in order to make that turn now, you almost have to come to a full stop, turn onto the hill and then proceed up it. Because it's such a windy road, I think it naturally would slow people down, except for that first shoot. When you're coming off the road, you really shoot the road. So that is one of those considerations. So we looked under the state and the federal guidelines for that type of intersection. There's plenty of sight line and the rest. So it'd basically be almost putting the road where the island is and getting rid of those two wings that you have entering on the Train Hill Road. So if that is something that you guys as road commissioners want, we could look at doing that. So that's one of the options. And what we thought was probably the best solution here. The other one would be to take out the speed bumps and put up a windy road signal for Train Hill and post an advisory speed limit of 30 miles an hour through there. But once again, I don't know if that would stop the issue of people shooting off of 183 up on the Train Hill
We're
Road.
going
I
to pay
think
attention to the signs.
the really only way to do that, we believe, looking at the intersection, is that it's the T that would be,
Seems
And the yellow
like the
signs, I think that's a
safest
good
way.
idea.
yeah.
And financing, you had a solution to that?
Yeah, we think that the cost, just the end of the road, and we still have $20,000 remaining in the RAP funds, which was a winter road assistance program. And we think that we can do this under that program, so we wouldn't have to have any additional funds.
Okay. And is it take long? Is it a long project?
No, we actually think it's possibility of doing it in-house to put the
Okay.
intersection, that piece of the intersection in.
Okay.
Patrick?
And we'll be able to keep the road open.
There'd be some closing on the day that we'd coordinate all that as far
Every
as.
after-
But it wouldn't be a long
If we
closing.
have to go out the other end down to 180 to 102.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think, yeah.
yes.
Can I ask one question? As you probably don't.
Name, I'm sorry, name and
Jan
address.
Ackerman, I live on Afric Road.
Yeah,
So I go up and through this intersection all day long because that's the only way to get up.
for now, we're getting there.
So I think I'm right in this, that the first time the speed bumps were put up was when COVID hit and the bridge actually on 183 was closed. And so a lot of people were taking that as the back way around over to 102
Right.
and up Averitt Road through past the reservoir. And until that time, there weren't any speed bumps prior to that, as far as I know, sorry. And so I would just ask for people who live up that way, they know that at the top of that little hill, once you come off of 183, there's a sharp turn to the right, and you can't be going 35 miles an hour and do that safely. So I think a lot of the concern was about people who may not be familiar with the road, who were using it as a pass-through to get up to 102. And so now that we don't have that because the bridge is open, I don't know how important it is to really spend a lot of money or time focused on that, because anybody who lives up there understands you don't want to be flying up that road because you've got to make a sharp turn right at the top.
So surprisingly,
Yes,
speaking to the police department, without going into details, including residents that have lived on that road, we have had people pulled over for doing well in excess of the speed limit up there.
really?
Yes.
Okay,
So
take it back.
the speed bumps were put in for whatever criteria was used at the time, but in analysis, speed bumps can't be used. And my understanding, it's still the shootout. It's just, you come off of 183 doing a good clip and you don't have to slow at all because of the way that end is designed.
Yes, if you're coming down, you gotta stop almost and make that corner. You're going very slow. You're not gonna gun it going up that hill knowing that.
Right,
okay,
but if you're on a bike,
road.
and you're leaning to take the turn and then you hit that speed bump, that is not pretty.
That's not pretty.
Yeah.
And really creates a situation that could put the town, because we installed them where they really shouldn't have been
be a
installed.
liability
And
issue.
right up the hill, if we teed the intersection, I would also recommend slightly up the hill, putting an advisory, the
corner.
curvy road signal with a 30-mile-an-hour recommendation on the bottom, advisory one. And then we don't have to do a speed study, we don't have to do the rest, but we correctly mark the road.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
I have two questions. How many forked intersections do we have in town? And is this the highest priority if we're into this? From a safety point of view, I think. I know that the one on Larry Wog is well traveled because of the dump being kind of at the end of that road. And that one is insane. Like one of them jets way off to the left and the other one, they're both wide enough, it seems, for two-way traffic, and people do it all the time. And then my other question is, have we talked to any of the other neighbors? Is there consensus that this is something that the neighborhood wants?
Well,
Or do you think we should just?
as the road commissioners, whether or not,
I don't think
do we take you guys have to make some decision. The first issue is that we obviously are now aware of speed bumps that are being installed incorrectly. So when it was brought to no matter what, we got to take those out. Those are coming out. So then the question becomes,
That sounds like an important job. Can I make a motion that we get paid $5,000 a year to be road commissioner?
like I said, if the town does not have other boards, by default, the select board becomes that board. So, as far as the other roads, I would do them on a case by case scenario. If you're in a slow enough area on back roads and you have those wide intersections, which are an acceptable intersection, but a lot of times those are actually when you look at the manuals, a lot of times you're going from the slower road, from a faster road, from like entering onto something where you'd be instead entering onto a highway or something, coming off of that. They're designed not for people not to have to slow down when they shoot through. And that's just interesting that you're going from a route onto an unmarked side road using a Y intersection.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of any other ones that are,
We did the one down in Housatonic, we did that one already.
that was pointed out to me.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that this
We-
town
we
teed an
teed that.
intersection before. So, yeah.
And they actually teed it Route 8 and Route 20.
Oh, so there's been a couple times that the
That
town
was state
has.
highways, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's- Yeah.
And usually what it is it's a control thing. So right now, if we remove which I believe we should be doing soon, is removing those speed bumps. But I think we should have a plan to address it. once they come out, because this was a concern brought up a couple of years ago that this board, I'm not sure where the decision was made, but it should have been the road commissioner's decision to put the speed bumps in.
I mean, I think it's a great idea. I would like to maybe just have a chance. I'd be happy to help you or do it, but just reach out to 3 or 4 of the, folks at that intersection. I know Monica expressed and Pedro expressed interest in this, but I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone else.
Yeah, we get a
don't
kind
know.
of a rough drawing on it too.
What's that?
We got a rough drawing on it, what it would look like, kind of, just.
I could easily do up a rough, I mean.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's gonna go right up the center of that. It would go right up the center of the island that's existing
know.
there. It's actually that simple. We looked right at it and it would just be bringing.
We're now engineers.
It is that, yeah, now he's an engineer because it is that simple of a cure. And like I said, the sight lines are plenty there, especially once I found out that the posted speed limit is 30 through there. I was a little surprised that, like I said, it just sounds so backwards that 183 is 30 and Train Hill Road is technically 40. So, yeah. So whatever action you want me to take, if you want us to proceed with T in the intersection, do you want us to remove the speed bumps?
We gotta remove the
Do you
speed
want to
bumps
put the advisory windy road with an advisory speed of 30 through there?
I'll make the motion, we remove the speed bumps. We do the signage. And then you want to call a few people you said before we
Sure.
vote on this?
Or any of us can. I don't need to do it, but I think one of us should.
So anybody out there in Navik Road in that area, you want to just give us your input on that?
Oh, we have a few here too.
Anybody out there have any comments on it?
But is it a neighborhood?
It's not a thickly settled neighborhood.
No, but isn't it a safety rather than what the neighbors believe?
I think most neighbors are gonna want it done.
Jan, what do you think? You're kind of on that road, the other end.
To do the T? I think it's probably okay. I don't know if it's really necessary, but, I think it'd be okay.
Okay.
You got any comment on it?
Can't hear.
Well, you're muted, Hugh. Or your microphone's not on.
Can't.
No, can't hear you.
Okay.
Type it into chat.
Ron has a question.
Good, Ron.
I believe there's a school bus stop right at that intersection.
There is.
Is that gonna cause any issues with the T being there and the school bus stop there?
That was one of the concerns brought up, is that because there is a bus stop right there, that people don't slow down and shoot that
The other
from
side of it.
183 onto Train Hill Road.
Behind the bus.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like they go in the inside where the bus stops on the outside.
So T in an intersection, if anything, would once again
I
provide,
couldn't picture it was gonna help it or make it worse.
it should help it.
I mean, I'm happy to do it if, I think we should, well, let's think this through for a second. If we do contact folks and some of them don't want it, it's kind of a no-win. We had a request, we put it on the agenda, anybody could have come and you say we can get it done for the 20 grand that we have left over in the highway funds.
Yeah, that was, I believe Hugh thought the same. It might be your microphone, Hugh.
Yeah, okay.
Thumbs up, you thought you could do it with the RAP funds, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Michael, we're still going to have to procure engineering to actually kind of design it, right?
No, you can go under the design specifications set by the state on the T intersection. We have the sight lines. If we didn't have the sight lines and the rest of it, then the intersection would have to be engineered.
Okay, so we go straight to digging
Yeah.
or paving or whatever you,
Yes.
okay.
That's my understanding also what happened on the other one. And that's the same even with the speed bumps. If you were, where it says, if you wanted to keep the speed bumps there, you'd have to have an engineer come out, make the assessments and make sure that it's all safe and everything else because it's over 30. All the regulations say, if you can meet this for a crosswalk, you can put a crosswalk in. If you can't meet this, you have to have it designed, laid out, which might include safety warning lights,
Yeah.
you know, things like all that. So there's the minimum design specifications that say, if you meet this, this is what you can do.
And I think because we have the monies available left over and Hughes wants to do the project, like it's, it seems like a win-win.
I'll make a motion, we do the whole thing.
I would second that.
All in favor?
You had a question first?
I was going to say that, I know you have the money. Have there been any police reports of accidents or speeding tickets given on that?
Speeding tickets, yes.
Yes.
There has been speeding tickets. As far as accidents, no. The main concern right now is that if an accident was to happen, especially a motorcycle or something was to happen, you have a speed bump that shouldn't be there.
No, but
It
if
could
the
be,
speed bump isn't there.
if the speed bump isn't there, then no, the complaint up there has been around speeding, people shooting from 183 on the Train Hill Road.
I would rather see the 20,000 go toward fixing the other Apple Road Bridge.
Sorry.
That's all.
But it's all
funded.
underway.
That's going.
Okay.
Actually, the RAP funds have to be used by the,
For road,
on roads, so.
Yeah.
that's a
That bridge is
winter
all taken
road
care of.
assistance
That's
program.
in the process.
Maybe we could put a cover on it though.
Okay, so motion was made to,
and a second was made.
remove the bump, remove the, we voted on that, remove the.
Bump, sign,
remove the-
and
Add the
fix
signs
the T.
and do the T. Just a second.
Aye.
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 More work, you. Hey, good job up at the lake.
Hey,
I've been watching you up there. The guardrails and the stonework. Justin did a nice job in that stone gutter. I chatted with him yesterday. Okay. Stockbridge poll updates and conditions. That's pretty much.
Yeah, so, you know, we had a concern raised about algae on the lake. It ended up just being the green algae. We did go through the process. If anything, it was very good about setting up the protocols to make sure that we know how we're going to deal with anything coming forward. I'd like to thank, you know, this was obviously the lead on something like this is always taken by Tri-Town Health and our local Board of Health. Jim Willis and Charlie Kenny were right on top of this right from the moment it started. And it was great working with them. The town just provided support to the health departments in that. As was noted, the first advisory went out immediately. We erred on the side of caution to make sure to let people know what was happening. And then we immediately proceeded to the testing and getting it done. And then lifted it right after. So overall worked really well. I'd also like to thank Mike Buffoni for his work. He did the actual sample testing, got the samples to me. I ran them to Pittsfield to FedEx and we got them right out so we could immediately get the lake back open, because our initial impression is that it was probably the green algae, but like I said, we weren't going to make the call until, so the green's real slimy, but it's not unsafe. The main thing was to make sure it wasn't some type of bacteria in the rest. So like I said, overall it is. One thing that has been brought up is the possibility there is a way of testing that with the proper equipment, it's about $5,000, would allow us to test to at least prove that it's green algae and therefore rule that right out. It's the most common algae you get. Like I said, it's slimy, it's disgusting, but it's not unhealthy. So, and that's something we're going to be looking into. I spoke to Jim Willis today and I'm going to speak to my other compatriots at Lee and Lennox administrators and see if between the three towns and Tri-Town, if we can get Tri-Town outfitted with that equipment so we can make our own judgment quickly if something like this happened. And then if it didn't test to that, then we'd immediately send it out further. So, but overall, like I said, it was a good team effort and we tried to get everything out as immediately and quickly as we could to individuals around the town.
Oh, well.
There's gonna be a lot more of those this year. With no ice on the bowl.
Yeah, we'll go real quick. Okay, discussion of second homeowners meeting.
Wait. Before we go on, it says, I want to talk about a couple other Stockbridge poll updates, if you don't mind. What's the status on, did you ever get any feedback from GZA on David Cameron's suggestions for the lake management plan?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay. I think we need to get the comments from David to GZA, or at least find out where that is. I bring it up at every meeting. The lake management plan the draft was done in December. This board has to approve it. We haven't approved it yet because I didn't put it on the agenda until David's comments were incorporated, and they're important comments. We're kind of blaming the trees for the phosphorus, and even if it's true, he doesn't think it'll play well with regulators. We're doing this so we get dredging approved. So I think we should, see if we can go to GZA and get them done.
I know GZA has the comments from David Cameron. I know they also sent the draft to Natural Heritage to get their comments before finalizing everything, and then finalization of the plan.
It's in the works.
Draft plan would come from the Stockbridge Bowl Stewardship Committee to you guys for final approval. So I will follow up with the Stewardship Committee to see if they're prepared to move the draft to you guys.
Of course, I've already
for
done it.
completion.
Okay. And then I think the other thing is the weed pulling you said is going forward.
Yes, it's supposed to be the week of June 19th. That's when the plan walnut pull is going to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. is
That's
that-
it.
Discussion on second homeowners meeting. Anybody got any things?
I think we should do it. And maybe do it like we've done on Thursdays, like a part of our normal meeting.
I agree with that, to do it a Zoom meeting and have it on the agenda for second homeowners.
I'd rather do it on a Saturday in person. Just as people get a chance to meet each other. It's, just able to be kind of more accommodating to when they are. It's like when we extended the transfer station hours to Sunday. It's just a little accommodation for, when people are actually using their house. I'd rather do it in person, frankly, but
There's some
Well, I mean, how many people will come up if it could be on
woman
Zoom?
with-
I went to one that Steve Schatz did at the beach about 8 years ago. It was fantastic. Everyone was like, it was a big crowd. They were it was just very good. It was an outreach. I'm actually not sure it was because they used to rotate them. It used to be at like multiple places, but that year was at the beach.
I think you have somebody that.
Anybody, go ahead.
Oh, wait, I'm not, okay.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think we should also do the association meetings if we're invited. So far, the president of White Pines has reached out to me at Lake Drive and Beechwood. I haven't said yes to any of them. I said one of us would, if we decide to go, one of us will get back to you. We've got really kind of both issues. I think the more we talk to people, the better off we are, but that's just me.
Yes. Yeah,
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Hi, Carla Krasnick on One Birch Lane in Beechwood. Just before the meeting, I was reading a survey that had gone out about the second homeowners meeting. And I'm assuming that you've all seen that as well.
I have not,
No,
No,
but one went out.
it didn't go out from us. Patty sent it out.
Yeah,
Well,
Her
Patty
second
sent it out and it was posted. And I guess I can pull it up if you want, but there was an overwhelming feeling that it should be a separate meeting and that people definitely wanted it to be on a Saturday, and pretty much saying what Patrick had said. There's a lot of participation and there's a lot of issues that get talked about. And I wish that you all had had access to it, but I guess I would encourage you or someone to pull it up and to look at that as part of your discussion.
yeah.
Does anyone have access to Patty's survey?
We have
We have a
not.
copy of it that was sent.
Oh, I printed it out.
haven't seen
Somebody forwarded it to me. I can give it.
Well,
Well,
the
this,
key is we're trying not to separate second homeowners from residents and everything else. And then we do things like special meetings for second homeowners, special meetings for the groups.
I wish you would say we and not I, or I and not we.
Well,
I'm
we
not
do.
trying to separate anybody, but
No, but-
you're making a political statement with some of the other issues before us. I wish you would stop doing it. You've done the last 4 meetings. Like,
Well,
there are
that's
some
my
things that are
comment.
going to have differences between residents and second homeowners. You know, it's just the way that it works.
But
At
with-
White Pines, for example, you can't put an ADU in because it's against their bylaws. You know, there's nothing that we can do about that. These issues are really complex, and I just feel like we've been messaging a lot lately around our mutual positions. And Patty, I would appreciate if you would, when asked by someone, who is the name of the selectman is so anti-second homeowner, and you replied Patrick White, I don't really think that's helpful, Patty, that this goes out to 250 people or however big your list is. Thank you.
that's inaccurate.
I'm reading it.
You're conflating two different things, Patrick. So Chuck and Jamie and Mike Canales and Patrick, I forwarded you the survey results a few days ago, individually to each of your select board email addresses, and Mike to your town administrator email address. Just FYI.
I haven't seen
have
it.
I printed it. It was good. Thank you.
And Patrick, what you were talking about was not sent out to the group of part-time residents.
Okay. Because a bunch of them came up to me and have said the same thing. I don't know who thinks I'm anti anyone. I'm not.
Okay, let's get back to deciding on when to have a meeting and,
I would like to read that up, and I'd like to continue this to our next meeting.
okay.
Yeah, I did not read your letter and stuff, so we have time. So I'll make a motion, we continue this to our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Affordable Housing Trust Fund, announcement on housing production plan, scheduling and plan for engagement. See attached letter for package. What is that about, Mike?
So,
I think Jan's here to present.
Oh, you're here for that?
yes.
Why don't you just come up, you pull a chair up here, or you stand up there?
I just want to point out, Jan is actually one of the first second homeowners we've appointed to one of our committees, and we are allowed to do that. So there you go.
And thank you very much for doing that. So I'm here to mention what we're doing on the housing production plan at the Affordable Housing Trust Committee. And you will remember that last year, this group authorized and funded enough money to actually do the housing production plan. We're going to be doing it started in April through probably September. As part of that, we're building on what the town has already done last year on the municipal vulnerability preparedness, the resiliency study that was done last year, as well as the planning board did a visioning study a year ago, which we're trying to fold that in as well. So as we move forward, we've hired a consultant, Karen Sonnerberg, who's a graduate of the Harvard Graduate School of Design, who has more than 20 years of experience building housing plans and development plans for communities in Massachusetts on housing issues. So she has a lot of very good experience, including some with towns out on the Cape Cod, which have somewhat similar issues that they've been confronting that we might be confronting as well. So she has a wealth of experience and also a lot of knowledge about ADUs and how they've been implemented in different communities, et cetera. So all of that is good. There are really 3 parts to this housing production plan. The first part is to do what's called a housing needs assessment. And that is a formal review of a lot of different data from the federal government, from the state government about the existing situation of housing in Stockbridge. And so she has been working very hard on pulling that all together. She actually sent me today the first draft of that, and she's going to be presenting it to the Affordable Housing Trust Committee on I think our meeting is on the 20th of June. So she will do that at that meeting. And then shortly after that, we're going to be trying to set up and organize a community housing workshop. And that would be, the community would be notified of that in a number of different ways, which I hope Michael will help us do along the way. And then when we conduct that housing workshop, Karen will present the findings from the housing needs assessment, as well as we'll have some breakout groups to get input from the community about how we might address some of those housing needs that are identified. Another part of the second part of the whole process is the engagement with the community, because we really want this to be a collaborative process where we get a lot of input from the community about what they perceive the needs are in housing in town, and what they perceive some of the possible solutions to that might be. So the second thing we're going to do after we have the workshop is send out a community housing survey, which will get their input formally on what they learned in the workshop, as well as what they think about various aspects of it. And then the third part of the plan, which will probably be in the kind of late August into September timeframe, is to develop a kind of plan for the town about how to address some of those needs. And that'll be developed, and then it'll be shared with the community and get feedback again, and shared with a number of different committees and boards, including, of course, Selectboard, the Planning Board, and so on. So that's kind of the process we're going through, and we would welcome input all the way along. So however you'd like to input, we're totally open to.
Good.
So any questions or?
No, moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
At
And
least we have some answers and
one of the reasons,
how we deal with it, and how we implement it. It's going to be a very tough thing, but I would love to move forward with it.
Right.
it's the thing we funded last.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So, we're not obviously just dealing with affordable housing. It's really looking at the entire range of housing issues. And by having like a community forum and a survey, by scheduling that during the summer, which we did on purpose, we're trying to, bring the whole community into discussion and try to come up with, a range of thoughts and synthesize that into some recommendations and a report on the topic. If you're interested, I would definitely recommend you go back and, does the new website have the old reports that we generate on it yet?
I don't believe so. We're still
Okay.
moving a couple things over. I'll take a look at that. I know
Great if
we're
we-
getting into a few little glitches here, but
It'd be great if we get the MVP Resilient Housing Survey up, because it's kind of part of,
I'll probably know
Conversation.
have it loaded up as a PDF. I can.
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay. All right, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Other plans we may want to consider: open space and recreation plan and a master plan.
I asked for that one to be put on because, it was a chance last year that the town was going to apply to buy Fenn Farm. The Stockbridge Muncies did it, and we ended up not needing to use town money. But there are specific grants via the state you can get if you have an open space and rec plan that is actually up to date, and ours isn't. Our master plan similarly was written in 1996 and is now up to date. And once again, there's grants that you can get if your plans are in place. Across a lot of these programs, to create incentives to get your plan in place, they allow funding only if you have it in place. action grants or whatever. So, we have some ARPA money left, and I thought it would, there's also a third part or state money available to fund these kinds of things as well. They're just work. I think that personally, we should consider maybe starting with the open space one. That would allow, it's a smaller scale, it's off the shelf, customize it for the town, bring in a good consultant that, it's another one of these sort of little jobs. And then have that and the housing production plan and the MVP plan all inform a master plan maybe for next year.
We discussed the recreation plan, didn't we? Going forward with
Yeah,
that.
I was just gonna point out, we had originally discussed it, we had started it with Kara, when we had her under the planning position. We stopped and then we jump started it back up again when we thought that we might need it. So a lot of the groundwork was done on getting all the plan in shape that it would need to be at this point. There were just the next steps that would have needed to be taken, which are the hearings and a couple steering committee meetings and a couple stuffs to get the open. So the open space plan is probably 60, maybe 65 to 70% complete.
Okay.
So one of the things might be, that one might be, if you guys want me to, I can reach out to Berkshire Regional Planning, see what the cost of them just completing it, because
Yes.
it was
Yeah,
very close,
worthwhile.
and then I could either get it, I could try to have something back by the next meeting to figure out what it would take to get from where we were to the end point, because I think that one was pretty well along. I think let's get that one done and then look at a grant to do the master plan.
Yeah, and do you feel like, how do you feel the process went on the first 65%?
I think it went well. It was moving. We might have already had it done, but we had decided not to continue that one and shift her on to some other stuff.
Right.
So.
I just feel like, that sometimes it feels like we're getting the entry level without a lot of experience doing this specific thing before. And I think if we're going to actually rely on these plans, spend a little bit more with someone like Karen, who's done it 20 times.
I mean, Berkshire Regional Planning has done a lot of open space and recreational plans. And I think that one is well within their grasp to do and would open us up for DCR funds, for park grants.
No, I get it. That's why I want to do it.
So I do think, and I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel with that one because we're so far along. I will agree with you that maybe with the master plan, we should look further afield as far as somebody to come in and to do that one. Why don't we, if it's all right with you, I'll reach out to them and bring back what they think it would take to bring it the rest of the way.
Yeah, we gotta finish that.
But, so we paid them and then their staffer quit and they never finished it and didn't give us.
Because we were paying,
By the hour. Didn't
we
pay
were
by
paying
the
her to
hour?
have her 1 day a week and it depended on what projects we assigned to. And then when it was done, it just ended. And then at that point, sort of backed off because the Fen Farm was going a different direction. And now we just have it sitting there. So, and one of the things is, and I could speak to the chairman of the planning board to bring forward to the planning board to use some of their funds to maybe bring the open space recreational plan to fruition.
And what other committees and commissions in town should we have involved in this? Obviously,
It's
Parks and
all
Rec.
detailed in actually how you do the hearings. You would have to bring in people from conservation, recreation, the planning board, select board, there's a list of all the stakeholders that must be included and then beyond that. So, yeah.
Okay.
Once again, if we're going to have meetings with the community, let's maybe try to get started and have the community meeting in the summer. We could approach these two concurrently.
Yeah, because there has to be an open, just like the MVP, those open communities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll bring that back for the next meeting.
So are we okay with proceeding with, if Michael, likes Berkshire Regional Planning for this?
Yes. Would you
Well,
like-
let me get a quote from them and bring back some information.
I'd rather just authorize you to use your judgment and, if you feel it's the way we should go, we'll go.
If you want to do it that way, or I'm more than willing to bring it back to you guys with what I found out and then let you guys decide if you want to use Berkshire Regional Planning. let me know which direction you would like me to proceed.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean,
In 2 weeks, not a lot of time, so by then,
no,
I'll try to get something
we're
with,
trying to get something going by summer. It's 2 weeks of planning for them to kind of put in place rather than not being hired, you know.
yeah.
I make a motion, we authorize Michael to close the deal.
Well, I don't even have a price or
Yeah,
anything.
we need a
I,
price.
No, we need,
I think might be a little,
If it gets really expensive, then we're,
Well, then he doesn't though. I mean, basically, yeah, I'm just saying use your judgment.
it's up to you guys on how you want me to,
I would make a motion, you bring it to next meeting with the price
yeah.
and the timetable and all that. So probably won't happen in the next 2 weeks anyways.
Probably not with the end of the year and stuff and getting this and getting them to assign somebody to the project and that, what I'll try to do is
Maybe
by
3,
early
4,
next
5
week,
weeks out.
get in touch with Tom, get a plan, and then by then I can have it right on the agenda and we can get moving.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go that route.
right.
All right.
Okay,
Motion adjourned. Unless you have public comment.
no, motion adjourned.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.